let's take a look. Pro Football Focus gives us best and worst case scenarios for all 32 teams as we look at the 2022 season. For the Browns, best case scenario, get Baker Mayfield a new pass catcher, make the defensive line priority number 2. Worst case scenario, overpay impending free agents, such as Jadeveon Clowney. Avoid a wide receiver in round 1 of the 2022 NFL Draft. With that, let's welcome in Mac Robinson from 92.3 The Fan. And Mac, I don't think that worst case scenario, if you sign Clowney, I don't see another way of I don't see another venue other than going out and getting a wide receiver with that 13th pick.
Yeah, and Dave, you look at the options that they have there at the 13th pick. The amount of receiver talent that you see in this draft is quite frankly remarkable. Over the last couple of seasons, you've seen a lot of great receivers come out of college. But, again, I look at somebody like Treylon Burks, who I'm personally a big fan of. But even, there's others that are big fans of Drake London. You obviously have, the Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave duo from Ohio State. You have a lot of receiving talent there. But to be honest, I don't think that there's a wrong answer when it comes to those receivers. But at the same time, I think there's a couple of interesting prospects I think you can mix in there as well. I know it's not the sexy answer, but again, with, J.C. Tretter's contract getting up there a little bit, you have Nick Harris. I could see them possibly going with the center, but at the same time, again, you have a lot of questions when it comes to that defensive line as well. I think that if they go down that road, that could be a possibility. If they don't bring back Jadeveon Clowney, that could be a possibility at edge. But, again, I think that when it comes to this draft class, it makes a lot of sense for them to go receiver, and I do think that they will. But, again, it just comes down to the right fit for the team.
The other thing I would say is it will be pretty clear by what they do in free agency, what they're thinking in terms of the draft. The one thing that I'm concerned about a little bit, tell me your thoughts on this. They got to go and get a true guy that they feel can develop into a number 1 receiver. So I'm not as excited about seeing who might fall and who they could potentially get late in the first round by trading back in or in the second round. Go get a guy that's a stud that threatens defenses.
Yeah, no, and Dave, I look back to, in comparison, the Jedrick Wills draft, where, again, you knew the Browns needed an offensive tackle. They didn't really address it in free agency, but what did they do? They had a ton of options that were sitting there for them at number 10. They ended up going with their favorite option, Jedrick Wills, and Wills has been developing ever since. And that's the one thing that I look at this receiving core where, even when they had Odell on this team, you see Odell on a championship team is a number 2. And I think that he can be a very good number 2, clearly. But, again, I don't think that you have a clear number 1. And even in a good year where he's not hurt, I think Jarvis Landry is a number 2 on a championship team. So, I think that the Browns are missing that true top number 1 option. And I don't think you're going to get it in free agency. So I think your best bet is taking one of these receivers, building him into be your number 1, and then at that point, building the rest of your receiving core around that player.